Hey, you guys. So today we are going to kind of bring together some of the different topics we've talked about that what all living things need in order to survive, how those things help a cell, the smallest unit of life, get the energy that it needs in order to do all of its jobs. So each cell part can do their cell part jobs. So today, let's dive into photosynthesis and cellular respiration. So plants and animals get their energy in two different ways. This was one of the things we touched on at the start of the year with the 6 characteristics of life. Plants are autotrophs. They can make their own food using their cells. And then heterotrophs don't have the ability to make their own food using their cells. They have to consume their food in order to get energy. So we'll start out by looking at plants and why plants are able to make their own food. So as we go through this, please try and make sure you are also filling out your notes guide as we talk through the processes. So plants are able to make their own food because they have a organelle, cell part called a chloroplast that makes food for the plant using photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is a process which turns energy from the sun into food energy. And in order to make that food energy, you have to have two other substances, carbon dioxide and water, along with the sun's energy to create the food. So let's look more closely at how that happens. So this is the overall process of actually making food. So in a cell, in the chloroplast of a plant cell, carbon dioxide, water, and light energy get absorbed into the cell. So that's what goes in. We call those the inputs. And inside the chloroplast, I kind of like to think about this like an oven. It's like putting all the ingredients for a cake into a bowl and then sticking them in the oven. And in the oven, the molecules get rearranged and changed into some new molecules, oxygen and sugar. So the outputs, the things that are produced or the products, are oxygen and sugar. So recap that. When we're talking about photosynthesis, the process of making food for plants, it happens in the chloroplast. And it only happens in plant cells. Think about why. Where they're the only type of cell that has chloroplast. Plant cells. So only plant cells can do this, and they're able to take carbon dioxide, water, and light energy, convert it in the chloroplast into oxygen and sugar. Once that happens in a plant cell, then it gets shipped over to the food, gets shipped over to the mitochondria. It's shipped over to the mitochondria, or in an animal cell, the animal has to eat food, a plant, or some other organism that has eaten a plant. And in the mitochondria of plant or animal cells, the cell creates usable energy, and we call this chemical energy ATP. And that process is called cellular respiration. So cellular respiration is the process where food energy from sugar is turned into ATP, or chemical energy, using a chemical reaction that also includes oxygen. So let's look at this more closely. So this is the overall picture of cellular respiration. When we are talking cellular respiration, we are talking about making usable energy from sugar. So the plant has either made its food or an animal has eaten its food and then breathes in oxygen. And those two ingredients go into the mitochondria. And inside the mitochondria, the molecules are rearranged and out comes carbon dioxide. So what you're breathing out, water. And if you put your hand in front of your mouth, you can actually feel this. You can feel the water on your hand and you can feel the carbon dioxide leaving your body. But what stays in your body is the ATP. That's the energy that your cells can use. That's why the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It can make this energy that your rest of your cells can use to build their cell parts and build new cells for your body to be able to survive. So I want to look at this one more time because they're very closely related to each other. And if you can remember one of these two equations and what goes in and what comes out, then you're actually able to remember the other one as well. So looking at it a little more plainly, carbon dioxide plus water, and then you add the energy in, you end up getting sugar or food and oxygen. Oxygen is the waste product. Then, if you go backwards, cellular respiration happens. Oxygen and sugar end up making ATP, water, and carbon dioxide. So plants are doing this process. Plants and animals are doing cellular respiration. So these two really, really work together in order to allow all organisms to survive. Chloroplasts create food energy, sugar, along with oxygen to do photosynthesis. And then the mitochondria has to use that food to make ATP for cellular respiration. And both plants and animals rely on the chloroplast to do that. Because in order for the mitochondria to make usable energy, it needs carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide and water came from the chloroplast or from the plant. The only way the plant is able to make its energy is if it has oxygen and sugar. And the oxygen and sugar come from the waste product of making that usable energy. So what comes out of one process is what's needed for the other process. So in order for the plant to do photosynthesis, it needs the products or what came out of cellular respiration. It needs the carbon dioxide and the water. So let's recap that one more time. The mitochondria is making ATP. That's its goal, is to make this usable energy. In order to do that, it needs sugar and oxygen. It gets the sugar and oxygen from the chloroplast. So chloroplast makes sugar and oxygen, provides it to the mitochondria. Mitochondria makes ATP. Goal accomplished. And when it's doing that goal, it's also making this waste, the CO2, the carbon dioxide, and water. The carbon dioxide and water leaves and goes into the chloroplast. The chloroplast takes the carbon dioxide and water and then light energy to make more food, more sugar, and more oxygen. And so it continues in this cycle to create the ATP for the plants and the animals.